Many men. The Eagles have that playing at practice today as they make their final preparations for the game against the Niners this weekend, and we are doing the same on the PHLY Eagles Show coming up next. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles Show presented by our friends at Bet365. Rich Hofmann here, Jamie Lynch here as well, and Ashley Furniture as well. Sorry about that. Off to a rough start here in 2026. But the Eagles are playing the 49ers this weekend. We will have one of Bo Wulf or EJ Smith, maybe both of them.
Whoever's feeling more randy after leaving the locker room.
From the NovaCare complex in a little bit. James, we made it. Playoffs are here. Back at the link.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild.
I just picked up my coffee cup, which is like Eagles Super Bowl champion, engraved. And it feels like 4 months ago that we were celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl, and the playoffs are here already. It's pretty wild.
Well, I got to say, Jamie, if you're looking for a positive sign for another Super Bowl, I mean, EJ tweeting out a video of Nick Sirianni on the practice field as many men, Blair's behind him. I'm just saying, we're 1 for 1 with Super Bowls. When that happens, felt like the Eagles were saving that for the playoffs this year. Nice move, I gotta say.
Yeah,
I
I don't know about you, Rich, but I have no Eagles negativity in my brain. I have washed the palate clean. I am ready to think only optimistically. I think there's a legit chance this team has to go up against any team in the NFL this year. And this league may be, I know it's always like a common saying, well, it's wide open this year.
It's really wide open.
I really think this league is more wide open than it's been in a long, long time. No Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. And that's if you get to the AFC. But who in the NFC sends shivers down my spine? Am I supposed to get scared about playoff Sam Darnold? Really?
I think that's been the best team, but I think what you said is completely fair.
I think we talk about, well, do you want to go to Seattle? Does Seattle want to play the Eagles? Does the Rams want to play the Eagles? Do the Bears want to play the Eagles? Probably not. There's an inverse to that conversation. And with how good this defense is, and with the pedigree that this team has, and the notches in their belt, and the playoff experience, and the big game ability of Jalen Hurts, I don't think those teams really want to play the Eagles that much.
No, I mean, it's something that people say every year. Oh, man, the playoffs are wide open. Look, I spent 17 weeks watching the Eagles and being relatively unimpressed with some of their wins.
Oh, the offense is gross.
And then I turn on another game, and it's like, all right, is anybody really that good in this league?
It's kind of a gross year for the NFL, to be honest.
Well, the Eagles have been winning some gross games all year.
Let's just be the best of the gross.
Okay. Well, Jamie, it all starts with the Eagles against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
This weekend, and we are going to run through a bunch of the storylines. We had Fran and the professor breaking down the game from every angle. They did a great job. Some super long episodes.
What a show yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I feel completely ready for this game. We're going to zoom out a little bit and look a little more big picture with some of the storylines in this game. And the biggest one, Jamie, is, to me, it's round 3 of Eagles-Niners in the Sirianni-Shanahan era. Now, it's technically round 4. I am going to push week 2 from 2021 to the side. That was before Nick had even given the flower speech at that point. Quez Watkins caught a 91-yard pass in that game. Didn't score, though, of course. Anyway, that was a long time ago.
Quez Watkins,
if we're actually looking at the games that mattered, you have 2022 NFC Championship game, which was in 2023.
Beat down.
Yes. Jonathan Gannon gets in the car and he says, we're going to gut these guys. Coolest thing that he did. It was all downhill for Johnny Gans after that, but he was right. They did basically gut them in that game.
And by the way, Kyle Shanahan goes on to cry about the emergency quarterback rule, which in the trust tree, Rich, I kind of agree with him. Like it's a stupid thing to not be able to have that third quarterback.
But
then he goes ahead and doesn't even use it this weekend.
I find that
what a dumbass.
Unbelievable. That honestly, I learned so much on the Eagles show the last 2 days. The craziest thing I learned though is that Kyle Shanahan does not have a third quarterback on the active roster to take advantage of the rule that knocked him out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They had no chance after it.
If anybody should be enacting that rule, it's Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Ridiculous. What a baby. I hate Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, we're going to get to him in a little bit. But so technically round 4, but round 3 because the Eagles win that game. And then let's be real, the December game later that year, the next season, Eagles against the Niners. Eagles are the most fraudulent 10-1 team I've ever seen. And the Niners beat them 42-19. The linebackers, now I'm legally obligated to say that Nicholas Morrow was in much more trouble than Christian Ellis in that game. But Eagles linebackers in a blender in that game. The Niners at the peak of their powers. Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, just getting whatever they wanted the entire game. All right, we have round 3. And I will say, Jamie, even though the Eagles lost that game, you could spin that as a positive a couple years later because I would argue there is no single game that caused the Eagles' defensive revolution more than Niners 42, Eagles 19. Howie Roseman saw that game and was like, all right, we can't even compete with our back seven. They have no chance against these guys. So in some ways,
let's get Quinyon and Coop.
Thank you, Kyle Shanahan, because the strategy changed.
Yeah, and also full circle, like Johnny Gans, old rat. If he's the one that sicked Patricia and Desai on us by lying about the Cardinals' interest in him, because Vic was just like here as the consultant waiting. Oh, if you leave, I'm just going to slide right in. But no, Johnny Gans has to do Johnny Gans things and be a little rat, and we lose Vic, and we get Desai and Patricia disaster for a year. So a lot goes back to that 49ers game, series.
A lot goes back to that complete collapse at the end of that year, and that 49ers game was the game that really kicked off that collapse. But you could argue
imagine if we got Vic a year earlier and we avoided that.
Yeah, but maybe it was a good thing. Maybe they needed to bottom out to that level to really place that level of emphasis on the defensive side of the ball. Give Vic all of the power that he needs. Like Vic had some juice coming into the building that year.
Yeah.
They obviously draft Quinyon and Coop. So look, it all worked out for the Eagles. In terms of the rivalry, I don't think you can argue that the Eagles have the advantage. Count the rings, everybody, and also they won a playoff game. But good to get this rivalry back involved. And then I think the next thing to talk about, which will be, I believe, our Xfinity big takeaway, is the chess match between Kyle Shanahan and Vic Fangio. I know the guys talked about it a couple of days ago. Probably the most influential offensive mind of the past decade. You could probably say that Shanahan shares that with everybody from the Shanahan tree. Sean McVay, really him and Sean McVay, I would argue, are the two most influential offensive minds against, bar none, the most influential defensive mind of the past decade. That's Vic Fangio. There was the famous ESPN article from all the way back in 2019 where I think it was John Keim. He basically talked to all of the up-and-coming Shanahan tree guys.
LaFleur's.
And independently, all three of them said, when asked who is the hardest defensive coordinator to go against, they all said Vic Fangio, and Shanahan goes up against him this weekend.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much real estate Vic Fangio owns in the three of their heads. Because Sean McVay, I believe there's a quote, I'll have to find it, where he actually says that Vic Fangio made him reevaluate the way he calls and coaches games. Imagine that. Like one guy single-handedly made you stay up and lose sleep and reevaluate how you call an offense versus him. Just an unbelievable mental ownership by Vic over the three of those young guys, those young whippersnappers with their fancy loafers and their dyed hair and their muscles and their chin strap. Uncle Vic's over here just throwing in zins, just dominating them between the ears. It's great. It's a great thing to see.
They really are the platonic ideal. I know Shanahan is older now, and clearly he's you can tell his face is he's starting to get some wrinkles and some grays.
Stress is getting to him.
But obviously he was the whiz kid for a while, and Vic is the crusty old defensive coordinator, which is exactly what you want on both sides of the ball there. So Fangio has done well against Shanahan in his career, 11, 6, 15, and 9 points in the 4 games. Now, I will say, the last time they played against each other, and Fangio pointed this out, was 2018. Kyle Shanahan was not exactly Kyle Shanahan yet at that point. So, look, that'll be something if the Eagles have a great defensive game this weekend. We can go back and reference that and throw a 13-point game onto the fire with their history. But I don't think it means all that much. Now, I do think Vic Fangio and this defense and how they're playing versus Kyle Shanahan, who they did have a rough game last week, but Shanahan and the Niners from weeks like, Jamie, 11 to 17 were the best offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
Fangio and the Eagles, again, not every game was perfect. The Bears game was the real game that stuck out. Cowboys game wasn't great second half either. Stuck out. But if you average everything up, would have had the best scoring defense in the NFL. So, look, it's good against good. And for the NFL nerds, the football guys, the film grinders, Shanahan versus Fangio will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about them being a good offense. They're missing Ricky Pearsall, potentially. Probably. It's looking like didn't practice yesterday on Thursday, which is a pretty big indicator day. He's a big a big loss for them because he's kind of the guy that stretches their offense out and opens things up underneath, which then makes life easier for CMC and George Kittle across the middle. So that's a big loss for them. But just in general, like Kyle Shanahan loves Vic Fangio. You can see the admiration when all three of them talk about him. I mean, so much so that Kyle Shanahan tried to hire Vic Fangio throughout his career.
That was interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I think he said it was in 2017. He was eyeing Vic and D'Amico Ryans as guys he wanted to bring in as the DC. And I believe Lindsay has the quote from Kyle talking about it. He's like, yeah, I've tried to hire him all the times. There's been an opportunity. It's just really never kind of worked out where our timeline synced up. I tried really hard in 17 when we first came here, and I tried 2 other times on separate occasions. So Vic's a guy I've always respected, gone against a number of times before. I became a head coach, and that's why I respect him so much. Through the process, I've been able to become friends with him. You're probably going to lose some sleep Saturday night thinking about not only Vic, but the supremely talented defense behind him. And I know EJ has a story this week about, like, is Jalen Carter kind of saving the best for last? Maybe. If CMC has to face Jordan Davis and a healthier Jalen Carter in that middle of that defense, plus the linebacking core that we have, plus Quinion and Coop, like, this is a nightmare defense to go up against. So Brock Purdy's another one of those guys that's like mid until proven otherwise. He's probably slightly better than mid. He's probably in that 9 to 13 range. I'll give him because he has won in the playoffs before, but come on. Who are we kidding here? Vic and this defense are fully prepared to take on this Niners offense.
And we give credit where it's due elsewhere. I thought it was a big week for the Vic Fangio canon. Alex Coffey talking about his time in Dunmore, working as a bartender at Ragnacci's. And then Tim McManus writing about Fangio opening up and giving the meatball, he doesn't call the player the meatball of the week. I don't know why I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking of Jersey Shore Snooki calling herself a meatball.
Well, at our CHGO sister station, they do a meatball of the week or something too.
Anyway, the defensive player of the week who doesn't get the game ball, Vic Fangio, he gives them a bunch of his homemade meatballs, the Fangio family recipe from back in Italy, in a brown paper bag, which is also very funny. And the players have said that the meatballs taste good. So hopefully there are meatballs passed out the entire month of January and into February.
I hope the guys are just going around grabbing one with a fork, walking
They don't. Apparently they respect the process where
they take them home in family meal.
Only the player who gets the meatball eats the meatball. And they're okay. I think Adoree Jackson was quoted in that McManus piece saying hey, if I don't get the meatball of the week, I don't taste those. They're not for me. I'm waiting to win the award. So,
do we know any insight into his meatball recipe? Has any of that been spilled? Is it 3 meat?
It's one of those things where he says, "I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you." It's one of those things.
Yeah. All right. You have to respect that when Vic.
There is the video from, I think it was his time in Denver, where he's he's in the kitchen.
He's rolling them up.
Getting down, yeah.
Didn't he say he even makes his girlfriend look away when he puts in the secret
So
ingredient?
the two most coveted things in the locker room are the Allison Stoutland blankets for the offensive linemen and the meatballs from Uncle Vic for the defense.
Yeah, and
that's good culture right there.
It used to be Darius Slay's wife.
The banana pudding. Yeah.
Well,
love a locker room that eats together, thrives together, as they say.
Okay, that was the big takeaway presented by our friends at Xfinity. Jamie, we're going to run through a couple more of these storylines. Look, this is not one that fits as neatly as Shanahan, Fangio, with all of the history there. But look, Jalen Hurts versus Brock Purdy. And, these are two guys who have been deep in the NFL playoffs over the past few years at different times. I actually think Brock Purdy is an above-average NFL starter. I know it was I was a little bit skeptical of him a couple of years ago when he had Shanahan calling the plays. He still has Shanahan calling the plays, so that is certainly an advantage. But I felt like when they beat the Eagles 42-19, Brock Purdy had an all-star team around him. He does not have an all-star team around him this year. And I've just been, look, do I think that the Eagles defense can stymie Brock Purdy and hold the Niners to a lower output this week? Absolutely. But looking at Brock Purdy's body of work so far, I got to say, I can't really hate that much. I mean, did you watch the game against Chicago, the Sunday night game a couple weeks ago?
I caught some of it, yeah.
Really fun game. No defense being played on either side. Purdy had a pretty sick scramble where he found Juszczyk in the end zone. He did the Dougie afterwards in the end zone. I was like, that's pretty good. I can't really hate that. But you have Brock Purdy against Jalen Hurts, playoff riser Jalen Hurts. Look, Jalen has played some excellent ball in the playoffs. I will say though, during the Super Bowl runs, it feels like he's started slow in the playoffs, and the defense in a couple of these games. I'm thinking actually the last time the Eagles played the Niners wasn't really a crazy good Jalen Hurts playoff game, but the Eagles defense knocked out both of their quarterbacks. So he was just like, all right, we're going to run the ball. Miles Sanders is going to get a couple touchdowns. That's fine. We'll get out of here with a win. I'm thinking last year against the Packers wasn't really a great Jalen Hurts game. Really, Jalen's best games have been NFC championship games and Super Bowls, particularly. Hey, that's great. We love that. But, he has been a little bit of a slow starter. Can Jalen get it rolling with this crew that has underwhelmed, I would say, so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question in the playoffs here is, I have more confidence in Jalen Hurts than I do in Kevin Patullo, that's for sure.
For sure.
I saw the professor talking about, getting Saquon involved in the passing game a little bit more, and he always wonders why they don't do that more often. I also wonder why they don't do that more often. And with this Niners linebacking core beat up, maybe you take some of those easy dink and dunk out in the flat and wheel routes to Saquon to get the offense going that way. I mean, there's really no excuses, right? Like, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley. Figure it the hell out. The time is now. There's no more waiting. Pull something out of your backside here and make something happen. So I have confidence Jalen Hurts can do it. Do I have confidence that the offensive play calling behind it can back it up? I guess I kind of have to, right? I mean, with this defense, you should be able to win games scoring 24 points.
I think so.
Like, that's kind of like the bar. If you can just get there, I think you can win against anybody in the NFL with this defense.
So in the chat, one of BGM mentions that they
What do you say?
when the play
BGM?
callers use him as a +1 in the run game, and in listening to Daniz and Fran over the past few days, and also just reading the film grinders over, I'd say the past month or so, a big thing that they have pointed out is that the lack of designed runs for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the
has
number's
been,
at an all-time low.
Yeah, and it's been very efficient when they've done it, but again, that's part of the reason that the Eagles' rushing attack has been poor this year. Now, there have been other reasons, right? There's been
the offensive line.
There's been slippage on the offensive line. Guys are playing banged up, a bunch of things. But not using Jalen as a threat in the run game is important. So hopefully they let it rip in that regard, where we see him running more in this game. Maybe some QB counter bash, which is that's the play that Jalen scored on against the Rams last year when he had that long run, the first touchdown of the game. The Eagles have run that over the years. It's just like a very aesthetically pleasing play. But anyway, some more plays where, out of shotgun where the Eagles have been better running the ball than under center. They've been good passing it from under center, but running it, there's been a lot of no-hopers. I will say the last time we saw this offense play against Buffalo, there were a lot of no-hopers from under center in the second half of that game. So, look, hopefully they can get the rushing attack started. Very rested offensive line. One other thing I would say with the rushing attack, because I wasn't going to make this guy one of the storylines, I would love to see a drive where the running attack gets started, maybe Jalen keeps it one time, maybe Saquon busts a couple 10, 15-yard runs, and then you turn it to Tank Bigsby, who's been a very nice, I wouldn't even say change of pace back. He just goes, man.
Yeah, he does. And I think, I wasn't really worked up about the loss to the Commanders because it is what it is. But the most offensive thing in that game was Kevin Patullo and the offense not giving Tank Bigsby a rush attempt in the fourth quarter. What the hell were you doing? He was averaging, I think, 6.78 yards per carry in that game through the first three quarters, and then you just decide it's Will Shipley's time to shine? What are you doing? Somebody on that sideline had to be updating the Packers-Bears score. And that's the time you decide to go to Will Shipley?
And you didn't even mention A.J. Dillon's couple touches.
Yeah, what did he get, three snaps?
3 snaps.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure he had a touch.
Is this where we insert the Bo Wulf anger? What the hell's he doing on the roster?
I agree. Feed Tank, man.
I mean, the defensive line's out there. Jordan Davis in a rest game is out there doing 80% of the snaps because they don't have another spot. What are you doing?
It would be funny if Tank rips off a couple of 30-yard runs in this game, and the guy that the Eagles traded for, and when they traded for him, they said, he's our kick returner. We need to get better. He's the worst kick returner I've ever seen in my life, but he actually is a very valuable player in terms of running the ball and on offense. Okay, so that's 3 of the storylines. We got a bunch more, but first, we do need to hear from a few of our friends. Guys, success, whether it's in sports, business, or life, comes down to working with the right people, having a clear plan, and showing up every day with purpose. And that's exactly how First Trust Bank supports Philadelphia's business owners. As the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles, First Trust understands what it takes to compete and win. And if you're a business owner who's tired of feeling like just another number, First Trust is different. Family-owned, deeply rooted in Philadelphia since 1934, and genuinely invested in this city and its business community. First Trust isn't just a bank. They give you a business edge big enough to deliver real solutions, yet personal enough to sit down, listen, and get things done. So guys, head on over and learn more at firsttrust.com or call 1-800-220-BANK. First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles.
2026 and the World Cup is returning to Philadelphia the first time since 1994, and Game Time is the place for you to get your World Cup 2026 tickets. Whether you're in Philadelphia or beyond, one of the other host cities, you get your fees included. You can get zone deals, images from your seats, and the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And the Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying soccer tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. This is World Cup 2026, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Make sure you're using Game Time.
And welcome back to the PHLY Eagles Show, presented by Bet365 and Ashley. James, let's run through a few more of these storylines. And you kind of mentioned one in the Hurts section that I was going to get to next. And that is this Kevin Patullo's last stand? And so I just want to note this. I want to note that Mike McDaniel just got fired from Miami. That is 3 play callers of interest that are not with their teams anymore, along with Kevin Stefanski and Cliff Kingsbury. Hey, those guys could get head coaching jobs as well. Look, we're not talking about that today because this is the playoffs, and I want to talk about Kevin Patullo's offense for the next month But just know, it's in my back pocket. You see it right here? Just putting it right there in my back pocket, filing it away. Maybe we revisit that at some point. But you mentioned it, Jam. Like on the note of this game, if you can't put up like mid-20s against this Niners defense, like what are we doing here? This is a terrible defense. I mentioned that Chicago game where Purdy was going up and down on the Bears defense. The Bears offense was a joke how easily they were moving the ball up and down the field. And then they play Seattle last week. Yeah, I think they ended up with like 16 points. Seattle physically manhandled them in that game. They missed a couple field goals. They got stopped inside the 5-yard line on downs. Completely controlled that game. We could be seeing Eric Kendricks and Kaiser White, our old friend.
Kaiser, you never go against the family.
At linebacker. It's the exact opposite now that I think of it from the 2023 game when I talked about the linebackers, Nicholas Morrow, and then they make the terrible decision to move on from Christian Ellis. But you have Shaq Leonard. The Eagles were just trying to figure it out at linebacker. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Niners had Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. They were pretty set at that position. A couple years later, this has flipped completely. The Niners are going to play maybe two guys. We'll see what happens with D. Winters, and they have another guy who might be able to play. I think Eric Kendricks is definitely going to play for them in this game. They have guys who have played like 3 games this year. 1 game, Kaiser, they just signed him this week, could be their linebackers this week. And meanwhile, the Eagles have 3 linebackers that are pretty good. They can't even get them all on the field at this point. I mean, Jahad Campbell he'd be playing every snap for these guys. So, look, the Niners defense, it feels gettable, but also, like, the Eagles have played teams with bad linebackers this year. I'm thinking of that Bears game on Black Friday. So, big prove-it game for Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts doesn't have to prove it as much because he has won the ring and played great. But just in general, this Eagles offense that has underperformed this season.
There's really no excuses. I mean, the Saquon rushing attack should have a monster game. This team is terrible against the run when healthy. Now you throw in linebackers off the street in Kaiser White. You should be able to attack this defense in several different ways. If this team doesn't score north of 21 points on Sunday, that's a travesty. It really is. I fully believe the offense has been so bad this year. Kevin Patullo could be fired even if they win a Super Bowl. Like, in all honesty.
But Save it for later.
We'll see what happens there. But there's really no excuses. You're at home. It's not bitter cold. I know there's maybe some wind on the radar for Sunday, but there's no excuse versus this defense. This is a bad defense, and you need to take advantage of it. You have the most expensive offense in the NFL. I can erase 17 games of poor performance if you go out there. If you go north of 30, I'm going to be straight up giddy on Sunday. So no excuses. Time to put up.
It's one of those things where this matchup is good against good with the Eagles defense against the 49ers offense. And I think as our thumbnail said yesterday, it's a mid-off on the other side. So if the Eagles defense and the 49ers offense, if they sort of battle to a draw, I would say that's probably between 17 and 20 points, where it kind of reminds me of the Eagles against the Commanders last year, where the Commanders, they had a good offense. Like last year, Jaden Daniels was on fire in the playoffs, and they end up scoring like low 20s in that game. And that felt like a game where both teams on that side of the ball, it was a draw, right? Jaden Daniels was able to move the ball up and down the field against the Eagles defense, but he wasn't able to move it like against the Lions the week before. And the Eagles offense against a terrible Commanders defense puts up a 50-burger against them in that game.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where it's like, man, if the Niners and the Eagles battle to a draw on the good side of the ball, Eagles offense, can you get me to 24, 27
I really think
points?
that's just the number. Just like 24 points.
I think that should be enough to win.
Saquon should have a day.
Yeah.
Like Lane Johnson, and we're going to get to him, but like he's coming back. Hopefully he's fine. The rushing attack should be able to dominate this game and control the clock and control the game. That's simple. Like, this is a bad rushing defense that got worse.
Bad defensive line, bad linebackers.
Yeah.
It's just bad. And they're vanilla, too. Like Robert Saleh is not a guy that's going to spags it up, basically.
No.
Yeah. So I also, in listening to...
And he's getting some coaching looks, so hopefully he's a little distracted like Johnny Gans was in the Super Bowl.
That would be nice. listening to yesterday's show, Fran talking about Deamador Lenore, who's like one of their best players on that side of the ball.
He was the one that asked to shadow JSN, right? And then JSN just kind of bodied him a little bit.
But Fran was like, yeah, just like you can play A.J. Brown against him. He's got like a huge advantage. I'm like, man, he's clearly one of their best players. Because again, they're missing Fred Warner and Nick Bosa as well. Okay, so that's the overall storyline. A big storyline within that offensive, the puzzle and how the Eagles piece it all together is Lane Johnson's health. And I'm going to combine this because we have two old Hall of Fame tackles who have been on the injury report.
Maybe the best two tackles of the last 15 years in the NFL?
Yep. I of the past 15 years. I'm trying to think who else.
I mean, Jason Peters.
Peters
out.
For the beginning of that.
Yeah, for the beginning of that.
He petered out.
He petered out on those last couple of years. But yeah, Lane Johnson and Trent Williams are probably, if they're not the top two, they're the top three. Two of the top three. I mean, these are all-time tackles.
Thinking
both hurt.
Like now, like Wulf's is good.
Yeah, Wulf's is a beast.
Sewell's good.
Yeah.
But they're younger, right?
Yeah.
They still need to do it.
They got their time to get their accolades.
Yeah. So two like absolute studs who are battling injuries. Lane has the Liz Frank, as a reminder to everybody, the foot injury, and Trent Williams is dealing with a hamstring. Now, look, is this the best sourced video? No, but I'm going to talk about it because it fits our narrative. David Chow said that he thinks
I did see this.
He thinks Lane might have an easier time of the two. And
better doctor than person.
Yes.
I think.
I don't. I agree, but and if Bo was here, he'd probably go a little longer on this. But fair. I think that's to say. The doctor, I'm not going to say the good doctor. The doctor says that Lane should have an easier time playing. We'll see. I mean, Baldy has talked about how difficult it is for Lane to play through this Liz Frank injury. Going to need the Eagles to test Trent on the other side. Do it for Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I assume that practicing for 3 straight days is a good sign that he's not like experiencing, a terrifying amount of like pain or immobility with it. So I take that as a really good sign. I think the resurgence of having Lane suit up, that's going to bring some juice to this offensive line. And then you got Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, getting that week off. Hopefully it's all beneficial for the Eagles here with Lane's return because he's just flat out maybe the best tackle in football. Their win-loss record with and without him speaks for itself. I've called him the greatest Eagle ever. Even if you get the greatest Eagle ever at 80% of what he normally is, it's better than what you've probably had. So I think there's just a lot of juice and adrenaline that comes with Lane Johnson returning to the lineup.
It really has snuck up on me how little Lane Johnson has played this
saw
year.
this in your newsletter today. And by the way, you should sign up for Rich's newsletter. It's free and it's awesome. Yeah, what is it? Did you say the second fewest games?
Third lowest of his career, but one of those seasons
was his suspension.
was his second suspension when he got suspended for 8 games of the season. So only 450 snaps for Lane this season. He really hasn't played a lot. And early in the season, he was playing in a lot of the games, but he was missing a ton of time in the game. So hopefully you get Lane back, which obviously will help your rushing attack. Also will help your rushing attack because I don't think they want to play those heavy personnel sets unless Fred Johnson is the 6th offensive lineman. I think once you get to Matt Pryor having to come in, I'm not sure that's going to work quite as well. So Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, big storyline for this weekend. Okay, we have Bo Wulf calling in from South Philadelphia.
Live from the locker room. Well, leaving the locker room.
Man, that would be something.
Yeah.
All right, so wherever Bo is, he will be joining us after a break and after we hear from a few of our friends. Guys, we all know the feeling. You walk into a jewelry store trying to pick out something for your partner, and suddenly you're in over your head. You're thinking, what's the difference between all these diamonds? Or what if they don't like it? Yes, it can be stressful. And that's why working with Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design has been such a game changer. These guys make the whole process seamless. From the minute you walk in, they treat you like family. Guys, they actually listen, help you figure out what they'll love, And then their team designs something completely custom right there in-house. No pressure, no pushy sales vibe, just good people who love what they do, and the end result, something that you're proud to give and that they'll never forget. So next time you need that perfect piece, go see Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design. 30 plus years in the game, voted Philly's #1 jeweler year after year, over 1,000 5-star reviews. It speaks for itself. Check them out today at BucciJewelers.com and tell them that the guys at PHLY sent you.
Let me tell you about a local business right here in Philadelphia that's been helping communities and neighborhoods all across the Delaware Valley. That's Evans Pest Control. This isn't some giant national chain. They're a family-owned, community-focused pest control company right here in the Philadelphia area. The annoying part about pests is they don't tell you when they're coming. They just show up. So get Evans Pest Control on your side. They are amazing. They've got great reviews. They've won Best of Phillies, and they've won the Philly Favorites Gold Award. So if you see signs of pests in your home, or you just want to be preventative about keeping them out, get your start today with Evans Pest Control. Visit evanspestmgmt.com to schedule your free consultation. That's Evans Pest Control at evanspestmgmt.com. Keep those critters out of your house.
And welcome back to the PHLY Eagles Show. Rich Hofmann and Jamie Lynch kicking it with you on a Friday. And now we have to go to the man himself on the Xfinity call-in line. Looks like he's right in front of the NovaCare
There
complex.
we go. That's better.
I'm sure we'll get some good foot traffic behind him as we conduct this interview. Mr. Bo Wulf. Bo, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, my friend. So what's the big storyline from either the locker room or practice? Is it Lane Johnson's availability? You have any surprise for us? I don't know.
Yeah, nothing crazy on that front. I mean, I think it will still, my guess is that Lane will be listed as questionable, and it will just come down to how he feels on game day. But I think there, as EJ has reported, there is optimism that Lane will be back on Sunday. But to your point, Rich, that's no guarantee that this won't be a situation where Lane has to come out after like a series because he just doesn't have it. So I think Fred Johnson needs to be ready to play probably.
Yeah, Bo, 53 of 53 active participants in practice today. Pretty remarkable feat to just be that healthy this time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that is an organizational thing. And it is in contrast with the 49ers, who enter this game with all kinds of injuries if you look at their week 1 depth chart. And that is a Kyle Shanahan thing. Kyle Shanahan has forever kind of played loose with his own players' health. And so, you know, if you want to complain about the Eagles resting guys in week 18, that's fine. But that's part of the organizational ethos that leads to them having every single starter except for Andrew Makuba ready to play in the playoffs. And I think you would take that deal.
Bo, speaking of playing it loose, I saw some reports that the Eagles locker room felt like it was maybe looser than usual. Can you confirm or deny that, or maybe pour a little cold water on that? I don't know.
So I would say for today's locker room, it was pretty sparse. And this is my first Friday locker room all season long, because usually I'm doing the shows on Friday. And Fridays are notorious for being pretty empty locker room days. And this was even empty on that front. However, I will tell you that it was one of those situations where we get into the locker room and Lovers and Friend is playing on the speaker in the locker room, and it's one of those things where like every single person you look at is just singing along the words to Lovers and Friends, like in their own head. So it was kind of like this was not a anxiety-riddled locker room about the playoff game that comes up on Sunday. And I think you could make a case that like playoff experience is overrated, and it can go both ways. On the one hand, it can make you think, okay, we have belief because we have been through this before. On the other hand, you could make a case that it's like, oh, well, maybe it means that you're too comfortable. You think that you can flip a switch that because you've been there before. But I think if you're just worried about, is this team concerned? They're not. I think they feel very strongly like if they come out and play their best game, and this goes from the players to the coaches to the front office, and they think that they will win this game.
Bo, you were there for Nick Sirianni's press conference too. Any takeaways from that? Anything jump out to you from Nick? Or was it cliche, just keep talking machine?
Yeah, nothing crazy from Nick. He talked about Lane Johnson, what it would mean to get him back. He talked about, the comparison that he often gets when it's up against a McVay or a Kyle Shanahan, and the national description of the game is you've got like this really good guru coach on one hand, and you've got the buffoon Sirianni on the other. And does he take offense to that? And he says no, but I think you can probably read between the lines that he would put his record up against anybody's, and he feels proud of that. So I think underneath somewhere that he likes having a chip on his shoulder for sure.
But we were talking a little bit about how much, if you go back to that second matchup in 2023, when Nicholas Morrow, nobody else was struggling in that game, how much the linebacker situation has flipped for the Eagles and Niners. Like they have Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw in that game, and Drake Greenlaw going up against Big Dom in that game. Oh, we lose him?
Can you hear us, Bo?
No. Yeah. It was a good run.
I'm sure he'll reconnect momentarily.
Okay, he's back?
Many men have wished death upon me.
There he is. Hey.
I got these new headphones for Christmas, these new earbuds, and they have a little button on them. And apparently I just learned this. If you hit the button on the side, I was just trying to push it in deeper, it ends the call.
Huh. What kind of earbuds are we working with here? How nice was Santa?
Grooves.
Ooh, I don't even know about that. Sounds sexy.
They good fit in the ear at least?
Pretty good fit, yeah. Good battery life so far, which I feel good about.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm happy to not have Apple everything.
Yeah, I had an old pair of Jabras that I think I lost cutting the lawn once, and I missed them dearly. And I'm back on the Apple train, and I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bo, before the Grooves got involved,
the linebackers.
Talking about the linebackers, I mean, it's just completely flipped now. Now the Eagles have three like Jahad Campbell would play every snap for these guys, and the Niners are, Eric Kendricks is going to play. Kaiser White got signed this week. Like you're reading reports that he might get involved too. It's pretty crazy.
It is such a good point. It is crazy how much that has flipped in 2 years, and it goes to the surprise we've all had of Howie Roseman paying a linebacker, drafting a linebacker in the first round. And you're right. It's crazy that, Jahad Campbell would be like, probably the best player on their front seven if he was on the Niners. And he's probably not going to play like a single defensive snap on Sunday if it's not a blowout. It's a really good point.
Bo, should they have saved 50 Cent and Many Men for a bigger game, or do you think it was an appropriate time to bust it out?
I don't have a strong 50 Cent opinion.
Okay.
I think it's good. Yeah. Don't, this is a lesson to the beat reporters this week too. Don't risk leaving bullets in the chamber, or whatever non-gun analogy you want to make. Because the season could end on Sunday, but use your best stuff and then figure it out after that.
If they lose on Sunday, Bo, how quickly, if I set the over-under at, 16 and a half hours after the game, is Kevin Patullo no longer here?
I think he is here that long.
Makes it to Tuesday?
My thought is probably that, Nick is very loyal to Kevin. I think Mike Garafolo said the same thing on the show with Anthony this morning.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be a thing that happens without a much deeper, in-depth conversation. I think my guess is that if they lose on Sunday and they score 13 points or whatever, I think Howie and Jeffrey rather will probably have an opinion that it's time to go find another offensive coordinator. But I don't think that will be something that is like, oh yeah, sure, let's just go ahead and do it. I think that's going to require a little bit more back and forth.
Well, that's a substantive question. The last one I have for you, Bo, is I was actually thinking back to the 2017 game against the Niners. I remember we were working together. I think, was that the game where you did the weather?
Beathard.
Huh?
CJ Beathard?
Yes, it was that game. It has nothing to do with the game. I believe there was bad weather that day, though. Do you have that Weather Channel hit you did at like Do you remember there was some weird weather thing
Yes.
going on and they had you on?
Yes.
Is that available anywhere? Like, is there a YouTube link for that?
It's a really good question. I don't know, but I think I have a photo of it, because what I was thrilled about for that interview, my only appearance ever on the Weather Channel so far, fingers crossed, was I was able to show off my favorite umbrella, my Ace umbrella, which is an Open Championship umbrella from going to the Open Championship at Troon in 2016.
Flex.
And I mean, truly, if you could get an umbrella anywhere, what place would you trust an umbrella more than from an Open Championship? It's a sturdy, big old yellow golf umbrella, battle tested. I love an opportunity to break that bad boy out and really flex on people umbrella wise.
How long have you had that umbrella for?
Since 2016.
It's pretty
Almost a decade.
Wow.
No worse for wear. Every now and then, one of the little, pellets at the end comes loose. But other than that, that's an easy fix. It's no big deal. Still going strong.
Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
All right. Bo, thank you for the weather talk. We appreciate it. Thank you for the earbud talk as well.
Thank you, guys.
Bo will be back, obviously hosting with Jamie our shows on the weekend.
Yeah, and we'll be doing watch along. I think some of the Sixers guys are going to be hanging out with us, presented by Bet365. I'm hoping Vinny, he never texted me back. Vinny, if you're watching, I'm assuming he's going down to the first half. Big game, got to be there.
Yeah, probably.
But we'll be hanging out watching in the studio along with you. So if you want to screen it with us on Sunday, come for the emotional highs and hopefully not many lows.
This is what it's all about. It's all leading up to this.
I'm scared how confident I am. I'm I'm terrifying myself.
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar place where the further the week has gone on, the more convinced I've become that the Eagles are going to win this game, and it's now to the point where I'm now fearful of that conviction.
Yeah, same.
Right, yeah, like the contrarian in me is like, oh, well, clearly that means that the Niners are going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Bo, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Bo.
Good to see Bo.
Yeah.
In front of the.
How about that flex with the umbrella talk? Wow.
No, he's right. I mean,
Troon.
Where would you rather get an umbrella than the golf tournament where it rains more than any other?
So I typically don't use umbrellas very often. I love a golf umbrella, but they're huge. I prefer like the little guy.
Yeah.
Just, kind of carry it with you, stick it in a bag.
The problem is I've had a couple little ones over.
A few small beers.
Over the past, let's call it 15 years or so. And the problem is I've had a couple of those. They get rocked when it gets windy.
They do.
And I don't like that. So the bigger one, you can sort of prevent against that as well. Okay, let's do one more storyline before we go to our last break. And you've sort of mentioned it in the first 45 minutes here. And that is, you can always cherry pick players being out and say this team is more rested, this team is healthier, and try and make the argument, okay, this player is more important versus that player. Not this time. This time it's as clear as it usually gets, is that the Eagles have a huge advantage both in terms of health, but also in rest. And the 49ers, look, it made sense for them. As much as Kyle Shanahan probably runs his players into the ground, they were trying to get the 1 seed, and a point where if they won last week, they would have played, they literally would not have traveled for the rest of the year. The Super Bowl is in their stadium.
Yeah.
So they went for it, and they lost, and they played 2 wars against Chicago, which was an up and down sort of game, and then Seattle, where they've got physically manhandled in that game. Of course, Shanahan complained about, we had to play on Saturday, but nevertheless, they played 2 real games. Meanwhile, you have the Eagles. They play against Buffalo. That game, it didn't really matter.
They should have lost, but who cares?
No, but I'm just saying it was more of a litmus test game in terms of what it was to gain. It obviously could have mattered if they ended up getting the 2 seed. Okay, they get the win. It's, obviously it's the same story for the entire year. Amazing defense. Offense just goes to sleep for 2 hours in that game, which was frustrating. But last week, they put their feet up, right? And it's rest-gate, and people are questioning, they should have went for the 2 seed. I actually completely agreed with how they handled it. They rolled snake eyes a little bit with how it it went, but I do prefer a team that is rested. I would mention, too, that in the wild card game last year against the Packers, the Eagles rested their starters the week before as well. They had nothing to play for, I believe, in that game. And they came out, and that defense was the most physical defense for the entire playoffs, but specifically in that game. Oren Burks, opening kickoff, just pops Keyshawn Nixon. Nolan Smith, a few plays later, Elton Jenkins he's a pulling guard against him, knocks him out of the game with a clean hit. You would hope that this defense brings that sort of physicality. And the other thing I would add, too, is that the defense has been pretty awesome for most of the year. There are two big hiccups, in my opinion. Giants earlier in the year, and look, Jalen Carter didn't play in that game. They didn't have Jalen Phillips
Bears.
by that point. And the Bears.
And there's a common theme to both of them.
They were short weeks.
Yeah.
And so
that's easy for me to just go outliers.
Exactly. And even when you look at that Bills game a couple weeks ago, the Eagles through 3+ quarters, I would say, played defense against Josh Allen and that rushing attack as well as you possibly can, the defensive line getting after it. So when did they start to leak oil? When the offense went 3 and out like 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we're not going to turn the ball over, but we are just going to punt after 3 plays in short succession. So don't get too comfortable on that bench. So with a week off, you would hope that they're ready to go, they're fresh and all those things. It's a huge advantage. The Niners, they're missing Bosa, they're missing Warner, they're missing Kyle Williams, who is their first-round pick. The Eagles, it's huge advantages in both of those.
Yeah, and don't ruin the advantage by putting your defense out on the field for almost 80 snaps on Sunday. To your point, like those 3 and outs, those could be backbreakers because it's, I don't want to say mitigated, but it takes a blow that one of your advantages if your defense has to be on the field the majority of the game. So, have some good first down play calls offensively. Maybe get the ball to Saquon. Don't do a bunch of hitch routes. Feed the ball over the middle of the field. Get yourself into those 2nd and 3rd and shorts where you can sustain drives and give your defense a break.
Don't say that to Daniz. He doesn't like 3rd and short.
No?
Well, because the Eagles stink at 3rd and short.
Fair point.
Yeah. No, but seriously, don't run the ball on 2nd and long. Don't just automatically do that. If you run it on 1st down, you get 5-6 yards.
This is not the time for cowards draws anymore.
But if the running attack gets stopped, let's not just run the ball for 2 yards on 2nd and 9 and set up a very difficult play on 3rd down. I agree with what you're saying there. The Niners are banged up. Bo said it. Jahad Campbell might be if he played on the Niners,
probably would be.
He might be the best player on their front 7. It's pretty rough.
That's pretty wild.
There was a weird Twitter thread about
I saw this. I think I know where you're going. The electromagnetic field.
The electrical substation being near. I think it's more Kyle Shanahan just runs his guys into the ground, but that was a funny thing to look at.
When you look at how healthy the Eagles have been relatively over the last
Sirianni era.
I'll just say
they weren't healthy before that.
Why are more people not copying the blueprint?
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science. This is this is where the one thing I will say about Sirianni that I think I like a lot is he's not he's a football guy without being turbo concussion uncle.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kyle Shanahan has that concussion uncle head coach mentality to him. Where it's just no, you will toughen up and play hard, and we're gonna hit in training camp. And it's
Kyle Juszczyk, fullback.
Yeah, just chill out, man. I think Sirianni
McCaffrey, 1,000,000 touches. Exactly.
I think Sirianni can remove himself from the concussion uncle football guy thing.
I think you're right about that. I think he strikes a nice balance. Might be, wide receivers coach. I think those guys they see the world, they see the big picture a little bit more.
That Mount Union diva mentality really paying dividends for him in the NFL.
Exactly. Okay, we have a few more storylines and
then I gotta reason, Rich, why they're an absolute lock on Sunday.
My man is gonna take center stage here at the end, but first we do have to hear from a couple more of our friends. Guys, a couple weeks ago, EJ Smith and I on this show were talking about going to Buffalo and getting some wings at the famous Anchor Bar. Well, with our friends at Goldbelly, you can get those wings from the Anchor Bar shipped to your home. It's an amazing site where you can get the most iconic famous foods from restaurants all over the U.S., and it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or whatever else you have going on. And again, Valentine's Day, Goldbelly has you covered with award-winning dinners from Peter Luger's Steakhouse, world-famous macaroons from La Dourie, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O. So, whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code PHLY. That's goldbelly.com, code PHLY for 20% off your first order.
You don't want Jalen Hurts out there returning kickoffs and punts on Sunday. You want your star players making plays, and that's where Togo comes in. For your small business, you want your money makers, your movers of the business focused on the ultimate goal of moving the business forward. And this is where Togo comes in. They take some of that workload off of your stars' plates. Every engagement with Togo starts with a free process mapping and engineering, no cost, no commitment. They don't bill you a dime until the real work begins. And with packages as low as $1,000 a month, they're not going to break the bank. Each Togo program includes a dedicated staff, custom automations, and US-based process engineers who act as your quarterback. At Togo, they turn your playbook into performance. You call the plays, they execute your way, and they advise you along the journey. Visit harnesstogo.com. Scale smarter, work faster, and stay focused on winning.
And welcome back to the PHLY Eagles Show as we get you ready for Eagles-Niners wildcard playoff football. Brady and Burkhardt on the call.
Yeah, Burkhardt was on with the Cuz this week, too. He is really good.
He's good.
Yeah, I like Burkhardt a lot. Brady, on the other hand, he's gotten better, but yeah.
I got a kick. There was this is a sidebar, but there was Tom Brady is a minority owner of Birmingham City, a soccer team, and there was reporting that one of the Union players got transferred to Birmingham City, and the reporting from like Sky Sports or somewhere.
I think it was in Kai Wagner.
Yes, and it was like Tom Brady was involved with that, and I was like,
just get in that SEO world. I see you. Yeah, just throw Tom Brady on the article there.
Not sure I'm buying that. Yeah. Can you imagine if he went to Kevin Burkhardt? They're calling a game in like September, like the Rams game, and he's like, "We got to get down to Chester, man. I got to
Kai Wagner's really lighting it up. I got to get eyes on
the
him.
Binoculars. Yeah, let the scouts know
ridiculous.
what I think. Yeah. Okay. A couple of more storylines before we get to our predictions at the very end. Very juicy one, not really that juicy. Bryce Huff, his long-awaited return to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata, apparently during, I think it was his locker room availability, called him Super Bowl champion, Bryce Huff. And I don't know if he was
that a troll?
Jabbing him. I don't think so. I think Jordan Mailata
is too nice of a human.
He's just like a happy-go-lucky guy, but it does seem
better
like,
human than football player?
Yeah, he might be the exception to the rule where
you can be like an all-pro caliber.
Well, we always joke that even a better guy means that's a bad football player, bad coach or whatever. No, I don't know. It feels like
it's a tough one.
He might actually mean it sincerely when he's laughing and he's sort of happy-go-lucky. But, as we've seen some people when they deliver jokes that way, they're being sarcastic. And so I'm going to assume he just Super Bowl champion, Bryce
teammate,
Huff.
yeah.
Good to see him back. Eagles had the conditional pick for Bryce Huff this year. It was a 5th. That would have become a 4th if he got 8 sacks on the season. Bryce, shout out to Jimmy Kempski. He's the one who tracked this the entire year. He had 4 sacks in his first 7 games. It looked like how he was going to get a 4th-round pick for Bryce Huff. Since then, I think it's 7 games, like his last 9 games that he's played. A big goose egg for Bryce Huff. Oof. And it's not for lack of playing time, Jamie. He plays like 50% of the snaps. Again, I think that's to Bo's point that this 49ers front 7, it's just not very good.
Poor Robert Saleh. He was this close to being called the Bryce Huff whisperer. But I guess you can't really, at the end of the year, you can't really claim that.
No, I mean, Bryce Huff, you do see him on the field for these games, like that Chicago game, and it's just like, this team has no pass rush at all. And it's not just Bryce Huff, it's everybody.
Yeah.
But he is part of it.
Pretty remarkable they were able to bounce off of that financial disaster as quickly and as efficiently as they did.
I will always bring up, like, Bryce Huff, that is in a vacuum, just looking at Bryce Huff, that is a disastrous free agent signing.
Yeah.
And it was part of an A+ offseason, even though I think that was the most money they spent on any. It was more than Saquon that they spent.
That's crazy.
On Bryce Huff.
And is that also
positional value?
Was it also Quinyon and Kubier?
Yeah.
What an offseason. Saquon,
But
Quinyon,
the most money they shelled out was to Bryce Huff. Yes.
Pretty unbelievable when you think about it.
So he will make his.
But Howie 2.0 doesn't let mistakes hang. He just moves on. He cuts it off and he moves on. So
that look when you hit on so many moves, you can afford a big swing and a miss. So we will talk about not just Bryce Huff, but the rest of the minor storylines in Lindsay time. All right, James, what else we got? Oh, here's a big one for me. Big Dom's revenge. I know Drake Greenlaw's not there anymore, but hey, last time they played, Big Dom became not just somebody that everybody in Philadelphia knew, but a national figure.
Northeast's finest, Dom DeSandro, which I just found out this week thanks to some random Instagram account. I did not know he was a Northeast guy.
Feels like he should be a South Philly guy.
Feels like it, but yeah, he went to George Washington High. How about that?
Believe he played football at
Yeah,
Penn State
I think he was supposed to go have a cup of coffee at Penn State to play football. But yeah, Big Dom. Do it for Big Dom on Sunday. Avenge Dre Greenlaw, that bastard. But yeah, Big Dom is.
Dre Greenlaw is on the Broncos now.
Yeah. I hope Big Dom gets to peacock off the field, as the last time he saw the Niners was.
That will be an emotional handshake if he gets the win and Big Dom's like, "Here, come here." He's that guy. So that's a big one. You also were bringing up George Kittle's comments.
I like George Kittle. I think he just kind of gets it. I appreciate any athlete that gets it. There's so many just airheads out there and stolen valor and just people that just are disconnected. George Kittle was talking in the locker room yesterday and he's like, yeah, man, I love the environment in Philly. He's like, they moon you, they curse at you, they'll throw stuff at the bus. He's like, why would you want to play anywhere else? It just shows you how much they love their team. And I was like, thanks, George Kittle. We're actually quite simple people here in the Delaware Valley. So I respect George Kittle. I like his general vibe. He just seems to get it. Seems like a good dude. I hope he gets 0 catches for 0 yards on Sunday. But yeah, I like George Kittle.
He's still a pretty good player when he plays. Obviously, he gets banged up a lot. An older tight end, we know about that with Dallas Goedert. But when you look at this Niners, the weaponry that they have there, their skill position players, it's like, look, McCaffrey is still a workhorse, but when you look at the yards per carry, it's much more a volume over efficiency type of thing, where it used to be anytime he touches the ball, it's like the scariest thing in the world.
And of course, I drafted him in fantasy football last year. Just complete disaster.
No, you do have those years. He went to Germany, might have had a few procedures. At least he's playing, and again, he's touched the ball a lot. He's been their biggest receiver this season. They still have Kittle, but they, as I said, he's been banged up a little bit. You have Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall are sort of the guys on the outside. It's a different type of team. That team in 2023, when they had it cooking, they had Ayuk, they had Debo,
which ended so weirdly. Ayuk,
very weird. Yeah,
very weird. Him driving by the stadium at 110 miles an hour, putting it on Instagram. What are you doing?
They voided his money too, and he was like, "I'm not going to contest it either," too, which was
very bizarre.
A very weird.
Bad culture. Kyle Shanahan. Tisk, tisk.
Not many men playing over there.
Many men. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's just a different type of team, which is kind of why I'm impressed with what Purdy has done this year, because you just look at the skill guys, and it's it's an okay offensive line. It's not a great one either. I know he has Kyle Shanahan, but it's just I don't know. It just does not seem like a team that's that imposing when you look at the names on paper. Hey, maybe they put up a big number against the Eagles, and then I'll be the first one to give them credit. But yeah, it doesn't look that great on paper, which is why I'm impressed with what Purdy did. The line, Jamie, it is trending towards the Eagles. I think it started in the...
It's not trending. It's a mortal lock, Rich. This is probably why I feel best about this game, is putting on my Vegas Vic line reading cap here. So the game opened at -2.5. Some books had 3. Our friends at Bet365, I believe, had 2.5 right after the game on Sunday, because it's usually something I go to as soon as the game ends to look ahead to the next week. It is now moved to the Eagles being -5.5. That is a 3-point swing. The public money is on 80% for the 49ers. There is way too much drama about the Eagles and this and that, and are they good enough, and the offensive woes. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense, and the public is putting their backing behind the San Francisco 49ers. The line should not be moving in the direction it is moving. This is the books trying to mitigate damage and take advantage because they know the Eagles are going to blow the doors off of the 49ers. I want to lay a -9, -9.5 alternate line to get some extra juice. That's how confident I am in the Eagles being an absolute lock this weekend to take down the 49ers and cover the spread. 80% of the money, the line should not be moving this way, and it keeps growing. Eagles are going to roll.
Look, I am, like Bo, I'm a little worried about how confident I feel. The more I look at this game, it's just I just think the Eagles defense is going to be able to at least battle these guys to a draw. And it's just the Niners defense, when you have these games where it's strength against strength, it's often like, which unit is the worst one in the game? And I just think the Niners defense is the worst unit by a lot. The Eagles offense, as we know, the whole season, talented, but just maddening the entire year. But they have rest. They're probably going to get Lane back in this game. I feel pretty good. The rest and health advantages are just so much in the Eagles' favor. Look, I think it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. I respect Kyle Shanahan, particularly as an offensive schemer. I respect Brock Purdy. Look, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I really think the Eagles have a lot of advantages they can press in this game. So like you, I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I am nervous about how good I feel about it.
Yeah, I bug myself out sometimes when I feel this confident, but everything is in their advantage, including playing at Lincoln Financial Field. They have the better quarterback. They have the better offensive line. They have the better skill position players. They have the better defense. They have the defensive coordinator that gives Kyle Shanahan nightmares. Kyle Shanahan's going to be wet in his little bed at the Four Seasons in Center City on Saturday night, thinking about Uncle Vic rolling meatballs and just cooking his ass again. So I just think every advantage lays with the Birds, and I can't wait till the next playoff game. Jason Avant today told Anthony that he'd rather face the Rams than the Bears in the next round, which gave me a little bit of a jump scare. But we'll deal with that next week when we find out who the opponent is.
Okay, so you heard it here first. We're playing in the divisional round next week. Okay, so what's the schedule for Sunday?
Sunday pregame show is going to be at 3:30, leading up to 4:15. We'll check in with EJ Smith down at the stadium. We'll get a film breakdown from Fran Duffy, and then we're just going to stay in the studio and do a live watch along. Hang out with us. Come watch the emotional reactions of myself while Bo sits there and does Big J journalism notes and doesn't react the way I do. But I think Kyle, Devon, and Derek are going to pop in. Vinny Curry is going to be popping in. And then immediately after the watch-along, we'll be hopping on in the postgame to talk about the Birds' victory. So we'll pretty much be live from 3:30 to 9:30. Like almost 6 hours of streaming there for you. So
a lot of
strap
hashtag
in.
content for you
Yeah.
guys. I will be down at the stadium. My award-winning cinematography will be featured on the postgame show. So it'll be a fun one. I'm excited to get down there. Eagles-Niners, the rivalry is getting renewed. Going to be a great week of football, too, a weekend of football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Congrats on the Texans on getting their first non-Saturday or early playoff game.
Shakey's Pizza game.
Yeah, I think it's the second time in their 10 playoff games that they haven't been the Saturday early game. So they get the Monday game. Bills-Jacksonville is a pretty good one.
The three games that, or two of the games that I would much rather see before the Eagles play are Bills-Jacksonville, which is right before, and then Green Bay-Chicago the night before. I think in part because I'm interested in that game. I think that's close to a toss-up type of game, but obviously that greatly affects what would happen if the Eagles do beat the Niners in this game. So Eagles will know By the time they kick off, they will know who their opponent and where it would be played in the second round. But obviously, got to beat the Niners first. So it will be
Let's go Packers.
Hey, that means you'd be hosting next week against the Rams versus the Bears. We can talk about that. Hopefully, we do talk about that next week. But got to beat San Francisco first. Everybody, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy all of the football. Jamie, thank you so much. Lindsay, thank you so much. Mr. Bo Wulf with the umbrella, thank you for joining in from the NovaCare complex. And until we play, until we have a game on Sunday, I'll just say, we love you.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.